In a day, positive mind psychology says we have more than 70,000 thoughts which come into our mind on a daily basis. And these thoughts, they come and they go like waves in the ocean. So if we were to look at this ocean that we are surrounded with, the vast, infinite, deep ocean, when the wind blows, there are waves. The waves arise, they experience, and they subside. Or let's visualize this blue, the sky, the vast, infinite blue skies. There are white clouds, there are blue clouds, there are dark clouds. Now, if you're fixated on the cloud, we will move as the cloud moves. Whereas if we are going to focus on the space, the clouds will come and go. We will remain unaffected. And if our mind is like a kite which is flying all around, okay, our mind is flying all around. We are holding on to that string from the kite, trying to maneuver the kite. So we are the body trying to hold to one end of the string. At the other end of the string is the kite, which is the mind, which is flying all around. What can be that string that we can use, a physiological tool that we can use effectively, consciously, so that we can align the thoughts in the mind, we can align that kite to the emotions that we embody. We always seek happiness. We always seek contentment, fulfillment beyond time and space. We always seek it outside. I will be happy at a future time, in a future place. We did conscious breathing. We paid attention. We honored the breath that we otherwise would breathe so unconsciously, taken for granted. We just paid attention to it. And there was a paradigm shift, because the mind always goes outward with the material world, seeking happiness, because the mind wants to satisfy the senses. The mind engages with the outside world through seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, and touching. So that's the way the mind finds fulfillment, satisfying the five senses. And finally, what happens is that the mind is always greedy for more, because greed is a distortion of love, where we became completely ourselves without the need to pretend, without the need to impress anybody, without the need to explain anything. We just centered ourselves. And breathing is a beautiful way of centering ourselves, going back home to ourselves, connecting with the divinity within, a dimension which is beyond the property consciousness. So the mind is actually linked to the fifth element, which is etheric space. So at the gross level, the body is made up of trillions of cells. But then we are not static matter. Millions of cells as we speak is dying and new ones are born. We're constantly changing. What do we do first when we are born? We cry, right? And then we breathe. And then what happens to everybody around? They smile. And what happens when we die? What's the last thing that we do? We take a last breath. And everybody around us cries, right? So the life happens between the first breath and the last breath. And in between, we take millions and billions of breaths very unconsciously. So if you were to move matter from point A to point B, you can move it without looking. You can also move it by paying attention. So energy flows where attention goes. So we just moved our breath like we move an object from point A to point B, but by paying attention, by honoring it. So we did move our breath like a baby breathing in. Baby knows automatically when the baby breathes, the abdomen expands. That's calm, relaxed way. But then when we become angry, when we become anxious, when we are in frustration, resentment, hate, guilt, or regret, our breathing becomes shorter and faster. So how can we regulate? How can we self-regulate? How can we be in a state of balance and equanimity? And how can we ignite the inner spark? How can we completely be in love with ourselves? How can we be completely centered and feel the love and light and bliss that we already are? Because if we can't feel this, because life happens now, life is happening now. If we can't bring ourselves completely into this moment of heightened state of awareness, and the quality of our life is directly proportional to the quality of awareness and consciousness. So we should be able to see what we do, and we should be able to hear what we say. But we always do the opposite. We're always looking around. What is that person telling me? Why did that person talk to me like that? I'm going to teach him or her a lesson. Because somebody blabbered something, somebody rolled their tongue and made some sounds, it came as words, and it pierced our heart. And we are holding on. Some kind of juice comes out, some kind of emotion comes out. And we're holding on to that for hours, days, months, and years. We're holding on to that. Long-term holding of resentment, anger, frustration. And many of us unconsciously are living a linear construct of time, which is past, present, and future. Life happens now. Life is in this infinite moment, micro moment of the now. There is only now. There is no past, present, or future. There is only now. That's all that we have. But then we have 70,000 thoughts in our mind. And these thoughts can be in the dimension of the past, or it can be in the dimension of the future. Think in the past, body believes body has been through the same situation, trauma, whatever situation. Body produces same hormones, stress hormones. Usually emotions that we get is regret, guilt. Let's not classify it as good or bad, but it's low energy. And also these thoughts are in the dimension of future. So your movie director, that aspect of your mind which has got memory and imagination. Memory is thoughts in the past. Imagination is thoughts about a future. Catastrophic thinking, fear, anxiety, uncertainty. Automatically breath becomes shorter and faster. Yes, conscious breathing. We did experience that, because we experienced a state of bliss. We did not take any substance. We did not take any medicine. Still we experienced calmness. That calmness did not come from our partner, did not come from our friends, did not come from our possession. Now, next time we face the height of frustration, resentment, anger, and if it is triggered by any person, take off that stimulus, feel the feeling. We can use high energy or low energy, both emotions, to feel the feeling. Because to feel, we need to essentially go back to ourselves. To be kind and to be compassionate, we need to be centered. So just be kind and compassionate. Because if we are not centered, we can never be kind and compassionate. We can never be aligned with the universal intention that all beings be happy and peaceful. Meditation is not 20 minutes, only in the morning or evening. Every moment can be meditative, only if we are completely focused on ourselves, focusing on our breath, and about letting go. It's all about letting go. It's not about holding on, but letting go. We are all moving vortexes of energy. Every thought in the mind is neurons firing in a certain pattern, causing immense electrical energy. For every thought, there is a corresponding emotion that we embody. And when we speak to our loved ones, they can feel, okay, you can hide thoughts. Whether you're trying to communicate love, you're trying to communicate anger or hatred or fear, people can feel it because feelings is magnetic energy. And thoughts are electrical energy. So we're moving like moving vortexes of energy, electromagnetic, thoughts, what you think, how you feel. So we attract people and situations in our life according to how we think and feel. And the universe only understands the language of energy. If we are constantly cribbing and complaining, universe feels this person needs to feel himself or herself. So this person needs the drama, that rush of all those hormones to feel themselves. Whereas if we are in gratitude for all the blessings and mercies, because the grass is never green on the other side, It's where we put our energy and attention. So the more we are in gratitude, the more we are letting go, like we are fixated on the sky, not on those white clouds, blue clouds, dark clouds. So we are not moving with the emotion. Waves arise, experience, subside. The very nature of thoughts and emotions is it has to arise, experience, and subside. That is its nature. Allow it. Let all the emotions come. Overwhelming emotions, panic, anxiety, most welcome. Whatever we resist will persist. Observing my own body allows me to, it helps me to navigate these strong emotions. So when I go into a state of observation, non-judgmental observation, I'm not going to judge others, I'm not going to judge myself as well. So Anna just asked me, how am I feeling? That encourages me to look into myself, That's a beautiful way, of immediately helping somebody connect with themselves. And the moment I observe myself, okay, so this was my anger, my resentment, my frustration. When I look into myself, this emotion, so I was so entangled and identified with this emotion first. Because to observe, I need to go back home to myself. And the emotion becomes the object and I become the subject. There's a gap between the emotion and me. And the first step is conscious breathing. So through breath, you observe what you're feeling, non-judgmentally, and the emotion becomes the object. I go back home to myself, and the strong emotion which I earlier found it so difficult to navigate, reduced to a mere sensation in the body, and it disappears. Even before I finish the sentence, 6 words, gone. We came, we met, we connected, we shared a few things, everything is gone in the past. So whatever we perceive as our current financial or current health or current reality is actually a past present reality. So how do we bring ourselves into this deep infinite micro moment power of now, which is the deep infinite micro moment of now? If we can truly bring ourselves, then we can tune into the quantum field of infinite human potential. If you're thinking in the past, for sure nothing exciting is going to happen. The same patterns are going to repeat. Many people are believing that they will be happy after death. So beyond time and space, People move from one divorce to another divorce, from one relationship to another relationship, again for happiness, hoping that the other person will give you the bliss that we are seeking. The happiness is in the gaps between two places, two relationships. Interact with people. If our presence helps the other person connect with themselves, once we make the other person so relaxed, feel so much at home, if we help other people let their mind expand and feel at home, that's a way to connect, because you're connecting to a different dimension. You're connecting using ancient love, that love which has no limitation, which is not transactional, which is transcendental. And you're not expecting love and respect from the other person like a beggar. But we are like emperors and queens. We are giving out love. We are shining from inside out. We say, remove your footwear, go walk in the grass, go to the sea, be grounded, hug a tree. Grounding is so important. Whether we are male or female, grounding is divine feminine. When the right is more dominant, it's a divine sun energy. It heats up our body, and it makes our body more acidic. And it changes over. When you go to sleep in the night, always sleep on your left hand side. Start your sleep on the left, body automatically adjusts. So why we are looking at these small bits and pieces of practical breathing techniques is to understand how important conscious breathing is. And we have this tool which is not in school or university, but this tool is the most effective tool. This is very simple. We are breathing, just pay attention to it, honor it, very simple. So when we start your sleep on the left hand side, what happens is that the right nostril becomes more dominant at that time, and the body produces more acids and bile. Stomach bag is on the left hand side. It helps you with digestion and going into a good sleep. Early in the morning, before we wake up from the bed, before we even touch our mobile phone, lie on your right hand side for 5-10 minutes. The left nostril will become dominant. In like 5-10 counts of breath, it will shift, and then it's connected to the right brain, which is the creative side. Right eye is to the left brain and left eye is to the right brain. Likewise, the left nostril is wired to the right brain, which is the creative side. So does this open up another possibility for us to use the right brain or the left brain, depending on whether we need to be in a state of activity or we need to rest and relax? Because life is not all about rest, right? Life is a combination of activity and rest. Life is not all about resting and relaxing now. And the only way we can make sure our cup is full is by being, not becoming. Being is a process which takes you outward, because you're trying to achieve something, you're trying to get there, you're trying to get into activity. But being is just about being you, being yourself, being spontaneous, being natural. You're being hollow and empty, then you become a channel. Being is all about being in a state of observation, heightened state of observation, heightened state of awareness, where we are able to observe our thoughts. Because the moment you're observing our thoughts, the disentanglement happens. Thinking is becoming. Being is observing the thoughts in the mind. But where is the mind? Mind is not within the brain. Mind is not matter. Body is matter, but mind is more on the energy, and the more we can use sound, we can use music, relaxing music. Sound helps us to expand the mind and connect to the etheric space. Conscious breathing helps us ground more and to connect with ourselves. So the next time we talk to our loved ones, to the little children, to the loved ones, because sometimes we are the harshest. We will not even speak to an enemy like this when we speak to our near and dear ones. Sometimes we become so oblivious and we create a lot of emotional garbage. We dump that truckload of garbage, emotional garbage, on the other person. But only if we can step back and observe ourselves, then we will be in a state of heightened awareness, where we will be more centered, more close to ourselves. And the more connected we are to ourselves, we will help the other person connect with themselves more. A lot of communication happens heart to heart, in silence, where we will listen more. So we will be able to understand them better. We expect people in our relationships, in families and relationships, to behave in a certain way. Accepting people and situation as they are allows them to be themselves. Wherever men have allowed women to explode and be themselves without taking it personally, those relationships have survived. Because that's how the divine water energy works, divine feminine energy works. Because at the subtle level, all of us are made up of the same 5 elements: the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element, and the mind is linked to the 5th element, which is etheric space. We have often experienced walking into a room and suddenly 2 people get into an argument for no reason. Because we always seek the intention behind somebody's mistakes or words. There can be a potential imbalance in these 5 elements. It's just a dance of these 5 elements. All these thoughts that we pay so much attention to, all these emotions that we give undue importance, even that person may not know why they spoke like that. So if the fire element is more in a particular person and the other person walks in, and that at that moment the air element is more. So to sum up, if we can improve the quality of consciousness, quality of awareness, and if we can stay more centered through conscious breathing, if we can be more aware, and if we can observe, the thoughts, our own thoughts in the mind, our own emotions that we embody. And if we can connect with people at the heart level, having heart-centered conversations, being kind, being compassionate, being love. All of us, we are love. It's not that you love somebody. Because to be kind, to be compassionate, we need to be centered in ourselves. Yoga helps. Yoga is not just about asanas. It also helps you withdraw your five senses back into yourself. Meditation helps. Healthy eating helps. Conscious breathing helps. Sometimes sports help. So whatever helps you be in the moment, whatever gives you joy, there is no hard and fast rule. Whatever takes us to this infinite moment of now. Again, all these patterns, beliefs has got something to do with the past. So people who are living a linear construct of time, past, present and future, if you are new every moment, with each outgoing breath you are completely letting go and you're tuning into that infinite field of possibilities where you're completely fresh every moment, you are in the deep infinite micro moment, then you can break off from all those patterns and beliefs. But then if you're constantly remembering our childhood, something happened, of course it's always good to learn from experiences. Instead of asking why is this happening to me, maybe the universe is trying to help us learn something, and the situation will keep recurring. You will attract the same kind of business partners, relationship partnerships, whatever, until and unless we are able to let go of that emotional baggage and we become completely hollow and empty, where we are allowing that love, because we are surrounded with love. There is a cosmic intelligence that we are surrounded with. You want to call it God, you want to call it consciousness, you want to call it guru, whatever you call, it's all the same. Or you want to call it self, it's the same. So how aligned are we to dial into that flow of consciousness where we don't stand in the way? All this wealth, nobody creates wealth and nobody destroys wealth. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. You only access it because we are surrounded in abundance. Lack is a mindset, but we are surrounded in abundance. We can access it. Like you have a beautiful idea, a beautiful startup idea, and you're doing it not for yourself, but selflessly for a cause. You'll be surprised to see the kind of people you will attract who would want to put money in your business or add value, not just money in terms of resources. The moment we have a higher purpose in life, which is not selfish, but selfless. So you become like so hollow and empty, like you dissolve into infinity and you become infinite. Getting it? Like all this ego is needed as a child to grow, to grow to a certain, but after that you drop the ego. And ego is nothing else but limited identification to a thought, an emotion, an idea, a perception, a belief. So the goal is important till you get into the path, but once you are in the path, it's all about resting and relaxing, and then realizing that everything will flow naturally. So the whole idea is to go beyond the limited identification and go into a heightened state of awareness, because when you become more aware, to be more aware, you have to go more and more to yourself. So it's like a self-discovery journey. But who we are, what is our purpose? How can we be more centered and more connected to ourselves so that we are more aware in relationships with others and ourselves? When we can't feel ourselves, then we need drama in our life, we need stress in our life to feel ourselves. So we actually create the stress.